Today we are unveiling strength and we are helping and nurturing our moms and kids through nervousness and butterflies. Well, we do have our experts with us. My name is Elana Afrika-Bredenkamp and a warm welcome to Marelize, our homeopathic expert, and Lizl, wonderful to see you, our mental health expert. One wants to almost find the difference between nervousness and butterflies. You know, what happens in your body with each of them?
So actually, Elana, it's very important to understand that it's actually a physiological process. It's not all in our head or something like that. It's really a response that happens in our gut. We have to remember that our brain and our gut are actually connected. Sometimes we even talk about the gut as being our second brain. So what really can happen is that the moment we perceive something as a little bit threatening or maybe even a positive thing, it doesn't always have to be negative, from that sensation, the body starts to secrete things like cortisol and adrenaline, and that gives us that little bit of like a fight and flight response. So it's literally that survival mechanism that comes into play. When that happens, heart rate goes up, our breathing rate goes up, and what then happens is because your body's kind of trying to get ready to fight or run away, we actually have blood flowing from our gut to our muscles because we don't need to digest during that kind of response. So blood flows out, and that is actually experienced as that butterfly sensation. At the same time, because our brain kind of starts to overwork, it also sensitizes all the nerves inside our stomach, and they become a little bit more heightened, and it gives us that kind of flutter feeling inside our stomachs.
Hence the fact, butterflies.
Butterflies, exactly.
From a mental health perspective, I mean, nervousness, what happens to us?
We're nervous and then we get anxious. But nervous, if you know how to control it and you know what your triggers are and you know how to handle them, you can keep that from going into anxiety. For example, knowing that a great example that I normally use is having to go to work on Monday after a nice weekend. You get that, I really don't want to. First you get nervous, and if you let it goes into anxiety. I think the same for kiddies for school. They've had a great weekend, they played and they could do basically what they want, and now Monday it's school time again. So just reaffirmation for them that yes, they can be nervous. It's naturally to be nervous, but that it is not really necessary, but you acknowledge that they are feeling it, and once they've taken that step, then that nervousness will abate.
Is it the same thing? Because in my mind, I feel like butterflies is this positive thing and nervousness is almost triggery, negative.
Yeah. I call nervousness or bad butterflies, if you want to put it that, I call them moths.
Wow.
So there's a huge distinction between butterflies, which is associated with good things, and moths, which is normally associated with being nervous or dreading something, not looking forward to something, those types of things.
I remember sitting on a train. I happened to be on holiday with my husband, and I was pregnant at the time, and I was about 12 or 13 weeks, and as I sat on the train, I stopped. I was like, I'm feeling it. And he says, what? Because now first baby, and and I said to him, I'm feeling it, that the baby's moving for the first time. And I'll never forget that sensation that even though I have felt butterflies before in my life, that felt like the real butterfly, because it's actually moving in your tummy. Where would nervousness sit in your body?
Right here, over the stomach, over the solar plexus, over that kind of center where we also have our gut feelings and things like that. So it sits right here.
So even if the gut doesn't exist, I'm going to trust my gut. You actually can feel it in your body?
You can feel it right there. We've all felt it. For some of us, it feels like butterflies. The other day, my daughter said she had eagles in her stomach. Oh. It could even be like a hollow feeling. It could be a little bit of nausea. But very often, we feel it in the center of our body.
Even if it's good butterflies, or if it's a moth, it normally will affect your breathing because it's excitement or it's dread. So teaching Baba, teenager, 10-year-old, to embrace their breathing. So in other words, how to control their breathing. Because if you control your breathing, you generate calm, if you can put it like this way. So get the lungs full of oxygen. Oxygen goes to the brain, comes back and says, okay, chillax a little bit.
that brings me to this. I mean, nervousness in parents, in mom, does it affect our kids?
Without a doubt. I can even feel it in my own children. The moment I start going a little bit anxious, a little bit hurried, a little bit whatever, my kids start mimicking that behavior. And it's very important that one of the ways in which we can help kids deal with their nervousness is for us to, stand back, take a few deep breaths. In those moments, we can't have two vulnerable people. And your child, when they come to you and they are nervous, you have to be like a rock of calm and strength, even though you may not feel like it. Yeah.
For me, and take my kiddies, for example, when I get stressed, they can feel it. And I know for a fact, especially when I'm lost, I'm driving and I'm lost, I get all stressed and they look at me and they can see my face and they start getting more quiet, that type of thing. And when I realized it, I got into the habit of saying to them, Mommy is stressed. Own up to your feeling. I am stressed, but it's not your fault.
Sure.
So just to make them know that, yes, there's an emotion going on. It's either a butterfly emotion or it's a moth or whatever, but it's not your fault. I have the emotion will get better. Don't you worry about it.
I like the fact that you're bringing them in on your emotions so that we are all mindful of what's happening, and it doesn't have to be positive and good all the time. Everyone is this happy family. But it almost feels like if we don't understand our own emotions and feelings that we can't help them. I mean, where to start if that is the case? Let's say I'm a mom and I'm very nervous all the time. I must tell you also, my kids don't feel my nervousness. We'll be in the airport traveling and I'll say, we need to hurry up because mommy wants to hold your hand. Meantime, in my head, I'm thinking they're going to take you, But they're like, no, we want to walk and run and be free. And I'm going, can you please just take a tap and feel my brain, because I'm actually really anxious even though I'm controlling this. But how do we navigate that, Surely if we don't have the tools or means to understand ourselves, how do we help our children? Where do we start if that is the case?
Experience, number one. Learning from friends. Keeping a very, very close eye on your child's reaction. And really trying to, in a specific situation, identify what the child is feeling. Once you can do that, you have an idea of what to do. Also, there's nothing wrong with asking, are you feeling sad? Are you feeling anxious? Do you have butterflies? Are you excited? Take it as a holistic approach type of thing. Ask, see, recognize, and then act.
It's interesting because in our children's younger years, we already teach them about emotions. In my experience, when the babies turn 2, that's when we start introducing emotions, and they can see the picture. Either the picture's happy or sad or nervous, he's angry, whatever the emotion is. How do we teach older kids what emotions are if they've never heard or had that skill? How do we navigate and teach our teens and older children if they've never been taught at a younger age what their emotions are?
Children learn from example. In this instance, if the child sees you reacting happily to a present, that makes an impact on the brain. The same if they see you acting negatively to a situation, which maybe you shouldn't be acting negatively towards, then they will take that on board, which then leaves you to explain to them that, look, this is my emotion was negative, yours doesn't have to be. If they weren't emotionally connected before, they learn by copying the parents or the friends or whatever is around them. If you, for example, take children with Asperger's, they have absolutely no emotional reference, if you can call it that way, and they do observe the people around them and how those people react to give them a framework.
Right. It's interesting that you say that because till this day, I'll show the baby videos of other children doing well. And I'll say, look how wonderful, because I know growing up, jealousy was a big emotion that I wanted to avoid. So I'm trying to teach them that we can be happy for other people. So it's my reaction towards child and what I'm seeing, and it's the notion of practicing those emotions because there's no bad emotion?
No, that's not, no. You have to allow them to form their own bad emotion. Look, it's ingrained in any child.
Right.
If I see this child being happy and mommy going, wee, am I good enough? That type of thing. So explaining to the child that it's all right to look at this and be nervous. It's all right to go and join in. It's all right to look at this with dread, with moths, and feel the moths going everywhere. But mommy still loves you. Mommy still thinks you're top. Off you go. I'm there for you every step of the way. So yes, it's no and yes, if you can put it in that way.
So we're not discriminating against any emotions. We accept them and we can talk about them.
Bring any emotion out into the light, whether it's a bad emotion, whether it's a good emotion. Celebrate the good emotions. Give it life, give it body. The bad emotions, comfort. Offer comfort. As a mom, that's the best you can do. Offer understanding. Baby, I see you've got a lot of moths. I see you're a little bit, I don't want to do this. No, it's all right. Mommy also feels like that sometimes. So it's all right. We'll get through this together. Butterflies, because I'm doing a concert. And it's the first time I'm doing a concert. And mommy's going to be sitting in the audience going, wow. My baby, it's going to be great. Enjoy it. Go for it. Embrace the emotion. Live it out. You have every right to feel this. So either nourish, nurture, or encourage.
What if you don't understand the nervousness or the butterflies in the situation? What if you look at your scenario and you go, I never felt like this. What do I say? I mean, there is no script to parenting. So, what if as a mom you've never done a concert and you actually have got no idea what big deal it is for little one?
Elana, so as a mom, I find that obviously as our kids get older, their emotions become more complex. When they're tiny, it's sad, happy, hungry, full, whatever. But now, as your kids go into the teenage years, their emotions are incredibly complex. And often it's new emotions that they didn't necessarily even have. So I find a way to kind of navigate it is to almost break the emotion down into little parts. What's coming up this week? Is it a test? Is it a performance? Is it something that makes you happy? Does it make you nervous? And then kind of trying to untangle all those different emotions and then kind of deal with them one by one, rather than just trying to deal with this wound up, tense, whatever feeling, so overwhelmed, anxious feeling. Just break it down into little parts and deal with them. Find ways to deal with this thing that's causing that emotion, and just.
If you, like you say now, you've never done the concert thing and those types of thing, try to see it from their perspective. Yes, I've never done this, but they've got the opportunity. What must they be thinking? This must be great, or they must be so nervous. If I had to do it, I would be so nervous. That type of thing. So I think trying to do that, imagining what you would have felt if you're in that situation, which you weren't before, and then seeing it through their eyes, and then saying, "Are you excited? I see you're not looking forward to this." That type of thing. But always seeing it through your child's eyes, or trying to see it from your child's perspective. That always helps with the butterflies or the dread, those types of things, because you can relate.
It's wonderful to hear that empathy plays a part in nervousness and in the butterflies. And there's so many triggers or instances for mom, baby, child, teenager in terms of butterflies. I'm thinking of the nervousness leading up to birth. I'm thinking of the nervousness and something that we have unpacked in many of these conversations around receiving baby. Then it's not a butterfly anymore. You feel insecure and you feel nervous around it. What are some of the triggers that you in your profession have dealt with, whether it be something that we've experienced or not? When someone comes to see you and they are nervous or needs a remedy, what is it about usually?
So Elana, particularly as a homeopath, a lot of the kind of butterflies and nervousness that I deal with is often in children. The pressure on children nowadays is insane, the performance, the, being perfect, living up to standards and all of that. So a lot of what we deal with is just that kind of, as you were saying earlier, even the nervousness about going back to school on Monday, or maybe math is not your favorite subject, so every day when you've got math, there's nervousness. So there's a lot of that, and of course, in many cases, especially for children, people don't necessarily want to go the conventional kind of, anti-anxiety medications and things like that. So very often it's often to do with children and anticipation of school and events and social anxiety and all of those things that come into play a lot.
Is there nothing that I can do at home? Do I have to see a mental health expert or a homeopath? Surely as a mom, I should know what to do. I should have the tools, and I was born with it.
No, children don't come with a manual. Your emotions don't come with a manual. So there's no set parameters to go, okay, baby is feeling anxious, I should do this, 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 and this. My baby and your baby ain't not the same baby. So you need to distinguish what your feelings are, what your reaction's going to be versus your baby. Baba likes porridge in the morning, but Baba doesn't like purity in the afternoon type of thing. So Baba is going to show certain emotions. The mommy's going to deal with it, okay, like you're getting purity if you want it or not. You're going to go, and I'm not saying it's not bad to say, stick to routine and those types of things, but you're going to be more attuned because you know your child. So your reactions is going to be more set on your child's emotions. Your emotions will be set on their emotions.
Is there value in, and I mean, later on I want to talk about tips and solutions, but while we are talking about mom's involvement and how to literally remedy the situation when it comes to children in the home, because we are the diffusers of our homes. People do look at us first in order to say, okay, what's the house going to be like today, So is there no way to start it differently? I'll tell you what I do, which does help until we get into the car, and maybe we'd have to change things. But when we wake up in the morning, there's the same kind of routine. We wake up, we get tea in bed, because my husband's really lovely, so we get tea in bed, and then we do prayers. So that's how the day starts. So it's a calm start usually because of that routine. Is there something we can add to it? Does it require a meditation in order to start the day off without nerves? To start the day, because in my experience, I do find when I break that routine, hell breaks loose.
So, Elana, I think they often say that mindfulness and all of that is one of the ways in which we can conquer these things. But, mindfulness, you say to people mindfulness and they kind of switch off and they go, how do I make my kids mindful if I can't even be mindful? But it can be something as simple as you open your eyes in the morning, put your hands on your belly and take 10 deep belly breaths and off you go. It doesn't have to be a 15-minute, empty your mind meditation, because for most of us, that's not a reality for first thing in the morning. So just take a breath.
That sounds amazing. Even now I'm holding my breath, just hearing you talk, So how deep is a deep breath?
Into the belly.
Like how? Show me.
Okay, so it actually helps to put your hands on your stomach, there where you would feel the butterflies. And you literally just breathe. It's actually easier doing it on your back if you're lying down.
Right.
And you literally just breathe and breathe and breathe until your tummy starts to go out. So
it's out anyway.
Relax it so that it can get that air to go in and all the way into the belly. It's easier when you lie down, and it's almost like a yoga breath. You almost have to pull the air.
It almost hurts, right?
It hurts a lot because all that tension that we carry around makes us close off that part of our body. So it's about relaxing it, and it comes with practice. You actually have to do it over and over and over again until it becomes normal. Because for so many of us, as you just mentioned, we hold our breath. I often get to the end of the day and I think, oh, wait, I don't think I took a full breath the entire day.
You wanted to add to that?
Yes, you can do mental preparation.
For
okay, I know
Lizl,
it sounds
mental preparation. And now for mental preparation with Lizl, what is mental preparation?
You breaking a thought pattern. So in other words, instead of seeing dread, I have to get up. I have to get dressed by this stage. Couple it to a positive thing. If I do this, there's a reward. Well, I'm not going to say mommy won't shout at me, but there's a reward. I'll be able to finish my breakfast, not eat half of my breakfast before I have to jump out, that type of thing. So turn that dread into a positive thing by thinking of a reward type of thing. It doesn't have to be anything that's physical. It's praise. You've changed your thought pattern. You're looking forward to I'm so proud of you. So getting that emotions going from a negative thought to a positive thought because you're looking forward to it. That helps in a way. What helps actually fantastically, that's what I did with mine. There's that praise when they did it all by themselves. They got up. I didn't have to drag them kicking and screaming by their fingernails. And once that pattern was established, it just kept working and working and working. You do have your days where the pattern is broken, but generally by changing their thought pattern from negative to positive, from moths to butterflies, you then get those results. And it also gives you butterflies in a sense, because you don't have to go, oh, it's not going to happen, we're going to be late, is this and that, so that your thought pattern then also changes. Kids are doing well, I'm doing well, calm, moths go away, butterflies great.
Breathing is such an important part of trying to manage nervousness and butterflies. So in preparation for our body to deal with this, what can one do?
So an easy thing to do just when you wake up first thing in the morning is before you jump out of bed is just take a few deep breaths. Now, particularly for little ones, it's as simple as lie on your back, put your hands on your tummy, and just breathe as deeply as you can. Kids naturally are belly breathers, so they kind of they're in touch with that kind of grounded breathing. But as we get older and we kind of get through the day without taking a deep breath because we're so tense and so anxious, all that anxiety goes and sits inside our gut. And there's a large nerve called the vagus nerve that connects our brain and our gut. And as we get more and more tense, that connection becomes distorted and it becomes tense. So you can just lie on your back, take a few deep breaths, and then ideally even hook your hands just under the rib cage. And if you do it right now, you may even feel that it's a little bit sensitive because we're so tense in that area. And you just hook your hands in there, your fingers in there, breathe in deeply for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe it out. And you just keep doing that a few times over until you naturally feel how it just kind of relaxes. And as you do it over time, it will become easier and easier to do.
Yeah. That basically then gets oxygen into your blood, which flows into your brain, which makes it easier for those endorphins to get released. And then your thoughts goes from panic to basically calmer.
It's interesting that a few breaths could change the way your morning starts and could change nervousness and butterflies into something that's a little bit more peaceful and calming. A lot of the times we think there's a lot of things, that you need to do. When you said endorphins, immediately I thought of the gym and I'm like, oh, no, don't want to go to the gym, But it's a micro win for us as moms. It's 2 minutes of your day that could probably change the rest of the day completely. A lot of the time, we can see our children's reactions to things that are going on around us, or I can see my own reaction around things that goes on around me. But generally, I'm quite a poker face. So if someone tries to give me a fright, I don't get a fright. I will stare them dead in the face, and I don't have a reaction. What if children don't show their nervousness or butterflies? How do we help them? One of my kids is a nail biter. She can't tell me what she's nervous about. What to do?
As a parent, okay, there's once again no manual, but as a parent, you should know that there's going to be reactions. You should know that in a certain situation, there is going to be emotions attached. If your child's not showing it, that doesn't mean that it's not there. That means you need to realize that the emotions are there, but the child's not showing it. So you need to engage with the child to get that emotions out of them. Talk, talk, talk. As soon as you've engaged the child, he would feel so much more free to tell you, yes, mommy, I am feeling nervous. So it's literally, you need to know there's always emotions floating around, even if your child doesn't own up to it.
My homeopath?
I think it's also important that kids understand that emotions are normal. We all have them. And I think especially for boys, like how do boys show vulnerability and all of that? Because that's where this nervousness and everything comes from. It's because we feel unsure and we feel vulnerable, and those aren't really emotions that get drilled into boys as being okay. And I think it's important that children also understand that the reason we have these emotions is because we care very deeply about the outcome of something, and we are invested. And because of that, we are willing to push a boundary and go and write that test, or go and play that rugby game, or go and do whatever it is. And it is that deep care that we have for something. If we didn't care about anything, if we didn't care if we failed, if we didn't, we wouldn't have butterflies. So it's important to understand that it's also almost a stepping stone that can push us to do better.
Yeah, it's about emotional support, realizing emotions, and then letting your child know it's all right to have those emotions. You are going to have butterflies. You are going to have dread. Mommy's been there. Dad's been there. They are the emotions. It's what you do with them that count. So in other words, yes, this oak is going to tackle me. It's going to be sore. But yes, you're going to play the game and you're going to enjoy the game.
And we're going to win.
And of course we're going to win. And if we don't win, that's also all right. Don't dread that. So you need to connect with those emotions, both yours and your child's.
We are not the only ones in this situation. Butterflies and nervousness is not just a mom-child or child-child or mom-mom or dad-dad thing. It also involves society. I am sometimes really shocked at how shy children are being tried to be unshy. Surely there's an element of nervousness and butterflies when it comes to children that are shy as well. Why does society want us all to be extroverts and speak?
Society works on the principle that you have to be social, in other words, to connect with other people. And they tout that connection, basically. If you are quiet, if your child's quiet, basically you're not conforming to the norm. So that keeps kids from being quiet. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of anxiety and a lot of butterflies for them to step out of that mold and to say, yes, I am nervous, but I am going to try this. So basically it's an expectation of society that's just always been there, which shouldn't be there.
I think it is also important that, to function in a regular kind of modern society, we have to be able to talk to people. We have to be able to do presentations, even if it's just pitching yourself for a job interview and so on. So there are certain skills that we need to learn. And it doesn't matter whether you're shy or outgoing. These are basic skills that we need in order to drive us forward unless you're going to live in some very different society somewhere on a farm.
Like a virtual world.
Like a virtual world or a hippie community or whatever, and grow vegetables. That's awesome. But we need to have these certain things. And by, for example, having kids do a little 1-minute speech in class, maybe, and if your child is maybe very nervous, ask the teacher if they can just do it for the teacher rather than in front of the whole class. Because there is also a theory that we can desensitize to some of the things that make us scared. So today you do a speech just for your teacher for 1 minute, and in a few months' time, it could be a 2-minute speech in front of your friends. So by learning that we can actually do this thing and whatever, we can often kind of overcome those obstacles that we often put there either by ourselves or they're just part of our personality.
Can suppressing nervousness give us more nervousness later in life?
Yeah. By suppressing your feelings, any feelings, but specifically nervousness, good butterflies, bad butterflies, by not being able to show your emotions, or as a child, show your emotions, it has a huge impact on you in later life. You then feel inhibited because as a child, you couldn't show those emotions. You can't show them now. How do you deal with them? It's a vicious circle.
How do I empower myself? How do I empower my child to live and to speak out when we do have butterflies, when we are nervous, when we are feeling nervous, excited, anxious?
Self-affirmation. You confirm to your child, or you confirm to yourself, yes, I have the right. Yes, it is all right. And yes, there will be somebody there for me. That's for a child. For an adult, self-affirmation, yes, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be heard. And you know what? I am here, and this is me. So not falling back on that little scared, moth that just keeps you from doing things. Self-affirmation in that is greatly important, hugely important.
I love the tool that you've just given. That is effectively beautiful. That is so, yeah.
We have in our house, we have a little mantra that says, I'm brave, I'm strong, I'm powerful. And if you just say that to yourself a few times, it can really kind of go, okay, cool, I am brave, I am powerful, and I am strong. And I actually recently went to a conference, and we were about 100 people in the room, and we had a life coach that came to talk, and he made all of us, and I mean, we're grown adults, had to stand up and strike a superhero pose, all right? And it sounds strange, but half of it, I mean, obviously Superman and whatever, but so many of us kind of stood up in that real Wonder Woman, hands on the hips, feet planted. And we stood like that, maybe 30 seconds. And by the time we sat down, the vibe in the room had changed.
Different.
We felt empowered and strong. And it was something as silly as just standing in a strong pose.
It's difficult for a child to practice self-affirmation. So you as parent need to help with that self-affirmation. You are strong. Yes, I am. So get those feelings implanted and get them reflected back. Get them affirmed from 2 points. Mommy, I know this. Baby, yes, I am. And that alone will help get the butterflies and just calm the emotions, because that gives the feeling of such support that you don't need the moths, but you can deal with the butterflies. The butterflies are good, because if you deal with the butterflies, mommy's going to be, yes, you can do this, no problem. So self-affirmation for children isn't as easy sometimes as it is for parents. I myself struggle with self-affirmation. Right. Reflecting it at your child and having him reflect that back at you, that goes a long way towards building that confidence, where if you've got that confidence, you don't have to feel that nervousness or so much nervousness. We're never going to eradicate it. Your child will always feel that. You will always feel that. But giving that bouncing back type of thing, that just helps in a great measure just to calm it down. Or for your child to embrace your butterflies, that it's all right.
We need some support, and we need to share some to our parents. As a last tip and as advice, what would you give to all of our moms and our children around butterflies and nervousness?
Okay, so as a homeopath, all right, homeopathy is all about treating mental, emotional, physical symptoms. We've spoken about the fact that butterflies is not just a mental thing, it's also a physical thing, and we all manifest it differently. So there are so many homeopathic remedies that can work for people. There's, for example, a remedy called gelsemium, which is really for that anticipatory anxiety. And there's aconite, which is for that intense, oh my word, I don't think I can do this, this will be the end of me type of anxiety. The nice thing is that nowadays in health shops and so on, there are so many homeopathic complexes, like bunches of remedies that have been thrown together that will cover most of the symptoms that we'll experience when we have these kind of butterflies and things like that. Now, it is important, though, that try those. Have a feel how they work for you. See how they work for your children. With homeopathy, it's gentle, and it's really just about calming the nerves so that you can actually get through the task. But homeopathy is also an individualized type of treatment. So if you're not getting the joy that you need from what you can buy in a pharmacy, go see a homeopath and actually get something that is specifically for your anxiety, because your anxiety and my anxiety or nervousness, it all presents very differently. And I may have sweaty palms, and you've got a racing heartbeat, and you've got something else. And finding that homeopathic remedy that is the exact kind of puzzle piece to match you is a wonderful way to deal with these things.
From my side, realization, acknowledgement, and support. So realizing that these butterflies they're good, or realizing, okay, the moths, they're not so good. And then going to reassuring yourself or reassuring your child that, yes, acknowledge there are these emotions. You are going to have it, you are going to feel it, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Accept. So just realization, and help your child to realize that, yes, I'm not feeling so lekker, it's because this, and this, and this. Don't leave them to just try and figure it out on themselves. Teenagers obviously don't want your help so much, but for your child, realization, help him to realize, give them your support, but very important as well, get your own support. Support groups, people that's in the same boat, those types of things. So I would say realization and support.
And the one thing we are saying is that you are not alone. Thank you so much for staying with us as we are unveiling strength within our moms, our parents, and especially our kiddies, yes, our children. Stay with us also for more exciting news and tools as we nurture our moms, our parents, and our entire family's emotional well-being.